Hey, today I'm going to be showing you guys how I customize and style this beautiful burgundy unit that I dyed. So I'm just going to start with Bio Silk, heat protectant, lace tint. You're also going to need scissors, an edge brush, and a comb. Small scissors, tweezers, and a rat tail comb, a care stick, a curling iron, a flat iron, a hot comb, and we're gonna get started. So I usually start by applying my heat protectant, and I usually like to use Silk Elements, but I'm just using this random brand that I found from Sally's, and I love Bio Silk. I usually only use about a dime size amount of Bio Silk because you don't want the hair to be too weighed down. And then I go directly in and I start to use my Denman brush and I blow dry the hair. So I always go through and I blow dry the hair, and that's when I kind of start to put it in the direction that I would want it to be. So this unit, I'm putting it in a left-sided part, so you'll kind of see me blow dry in that same type of direction. And then I usually go in, and this is a method that I learned, where I will take a small white towel and I will literally put the towel on top of the canvas head so that I can see where I'm plucking. This kind of helps me like not put holes in the lace and not over pluck. So I will literally take the white towel that I got from the dollar store and I will put pins in it, and then I will put the cap back on. So it's just like something that I do that makes things way easier for me. So once I've done that, I'm going to show you. I'm going to start by taking a hot comb and kind of going through. So I go through and I push everything back. This is just me kind of getting a feel for the hairline, seeing where I'm going to pluck, seeing where I'm going to formally part it, which I said I'm going to formally part it on the left side. So I'm starting to form that left side parting. So now I'm basically starting the process of plucking. I always like to take out the first row of hair. That's usually where, if the hairline is kind of pre-plucked, it will look thinner than the rest. And I push that to the front and then I start to pluck. So what I'm doing right now is I'm technically plucking out the hairs. I'm not necessarily going on the actual knots. I'm just going on the hairs, and I'm going behind where the actual line is. You can see I'm going behind where the actual line is instead of like directly where the line starts, because you don't want to create like bald spots or anything like that. And then I'll go directly back in on the other side. I kind of get a feel for everything, so I'm going back in on the other side with a hot comb to finish pushing that back, because I am going to start on that side as well. So I will kind of see like how am I plucking, what type of hairline am I going for. So right now I didn't finish on the other side, but I still just went through and I'm finishing hot combing everything. So I just was looking at what I was doing and I started plucking on that side, and now I'm going in on this side and I'm taking the hot comb to kind of flatten that area. So I didn't apply any type of product or anything like that. I literally am just taking the hot comb and just gliding it where I want it to be, so that when I do go in and I pluck, it is easier for me because everything is kind of in the direction that I need it to go in. So yeah. So now I'm going to pretty much go in with a spray bottle, and I'm going to spray around the hairline before I finish plucking, or I continue plucking. So I just like to spray around the hairline, because whenever I spray water, It makes it easier for the hair to come out, so I don't necessarily do this all the time. It really just depends on how dense that area is. And where I pause right there, that is where I'm going to push back behind. So as you see, there's kind of like a line of demarcation. I'm not going directly where the line of demarcation is. I'm going about 1 millimeter behind that. Because even though there's a line of demarcation there and that's where it's dense, it's easier to start behind that line before I go in and I finish plucking, because it just makes it easier to see what you're doing and you're not creating bald spots, because you definitely don't want bald spots in the front. And whenever I'm doing like a wig that is friendly for people who are not so into wigs, like a my first wig type of thing, I don't like to over pluck, because I really want you to be able to have as much hairline to work with as you can, especially if you know you're going to be wearing this for a minute. And the more you pluck, it kind of takes out the longevity of the wig. So I don't over pluck. I try and just do just enough to actually give you like a realistic hairline. So as you can see, I went in and I got some more on the other side. I'm going and I'm doing the same exact thing, where I'm plucking not directly on the line but behind that a little bit, and I'm taking out hair, if you can see that, but I'm taking out more hair instead of going where the knots are. So if you know about a knot of a hair, you kind of don't want to pluck those out unless it's extremely dense, because that can create bald spots. And especially if you plan on parting it in the middle one day, like if you don't want it to just be in the left side part or the right side part and you want to part it in the middle, it's better that you don't do too much plucking of the knots and just kind of thinning out the hairs. So as you can see, I'm on the other side now, going back to where the side part is, and I'm doing the same exact thing. So I actually went in and I took out where it was going to be the baby hairs, because this is like, I'm doing a light baby hairs on this, so it's just those two on that side and then two on the other side. So I kind of parted that out before I continue to go in and pluck. It just makes things easier so that you have enough hair for the baby hairs, because you don't want the baby hairs to be straggly, you don't want the area around there to be straggly. So I just plucked that out before I'm going in and doing the same exact thing. So like I said, I'm plucking the hairs instead of just the knots, and I'm going behind the line. So basically, whenever you create a line of a knot, I'm going behind that. And then I'm going in the downward direction. That's how I thin out a baby hair that's like too thick or something like that, or just to make it look a little more natural. And then I go in with my hot comb, and I'm already like right now pushing the hair in the direction that I want it to flow in. So I will go in with a mini flat iron, but it is way easier for me to go in with the hot comb and push in the direction. And so as you can see here, I'm doing the other side. So you usually want to, like a natural hairline, I think most of us know this, I don't know, but for a natural hairline you would want the temple area to be a little thinner. So I'm basically plucking around the temple hairline and taking the hair out. So like I said, I'm taking the hair out instead of taking like directly from the knots. I'm taking from the hair just so I can kind of thin it out. So this is kind of like a closer look of it, where when I go downward, that helps me take away that bulk that you saw. It takes away the bulk, but it also helps me to create the hairline that I'm going for. So I'm thinning out the temple areas because that looks the most natural. And this is kind of what it's looking like so far. And I'm showing you kind of like the direction that I pluck whenever the hair is dry and I'm trying to lightly remove. So if the hair is dry, that means I'm trying to, for me, that means I'm trying to lightly remove hair. If the hair is wet, then that's when I'm really trying to debulk, because whenever the hair is wet for me, I usually get a lot of hair that's coming out when I'm plucking. So if I'm only trying to do something very light, then I would usually just keep their hair dry. But everybody has their own preference and what works for them. You can kind of alternate between wetting the hair and plucking it out, or just leaving it the way it is, or leaving it damp or anything like that. So it's kind of what works for you and what makes sure that you're not creating bald spots. So again, that's why I use the white towel, so I can, as I'm going through, I see, okay, what's working. Do I need to spray more water, or do I need to just keep it the way it is? Because I'm kind of just going off of that. So yes, there are like specific ways that people do it, but I feel like just kind of look and study the hairline and kind of figure out what hairline you're going for and do that. And it's best to not over pluck, but everybody has the look that they're going for. So now I'm using a wax stick, and I'm only going on the hair with this right now. I'm not going on the actual hairline because I will go back in and pluck a little more. So I'm just being strategic with a edge brush and applying this on the actual hair, just to kind of see what I'm doing. It kind of puts it together so I know like how much more plucking I need to do, what stage am I in this whole process. So I'm going back in with my hot comb, and I'm going through, like I said, I just like to kind of see what I'm doing, see how much more I need to pluck, and then I also use the hot comb to push the baby hairs in the direction that I want it to be in. This just makes it easier for me because I know, okay, am I going in the right direction or not? So I like to just, in the process, have my hot comb there and do that. And now I'm actually going to go in and part through. So I'm going through and I'm going to take the hot comb and part through. So I'm taking my hairspray from L'Oreal Lock-It. Stand by this stuff, it's amazing. So I'm going to put some on my edge brush. It just helps me with precision. You can spray it directly, but I just use this for precision. I put that on there as I part, and I take the hot comb and I just kind of go through. And so that's me creating shape, and that's me flattening where I need to flatten, and I kind of see where everything is, how much more I need to pluck, how much more I need to hot comb, and it just makes things a whole lot easier because I'm fully aware of where everything is laying. So now I'm going in directly and I'm spraying on the hair, going back in with my hot comb, and I'm just going to kind of continue to do that and go through, see how much more I need to pluck. So this hairline didn't require, it required plucking, a bit of plucking in the front, but on the sides were pretty chill. So I'm just kind of going in and out, look and see how much more. But right now, I always like to go in with a flat iron, and I'm doing one pass. So this hair is going to be wavy, so that's why I'm only doing one pass, and I'm not going through and making it bone straight. So I put my flat iron on the middle setting, and I did one pass. Since I'm doing this hair a bit wavy, I'm going in and just kind of trimming the frame of the face a little bit. I'm not doing anything too drastic, just trimming a little bit so that when I curl it, it flows. So I didn't do anything extreme, I just kept it pretty basic on both sides because this hair is going to be wavy. So I just kept it pretty basic, like taking the frame out and cutting a bit to make it go in gradient. I'm not a professional when it comes to this, but I kind of just go with the flow and kind of see where everything should lay, and I do it that way. So then I go back in with my curling iron, and I'm curling away from the face. So I'm going to curl away from the face. I'm taking larger sections because, like I said, this hair is going to be wavy. So I'm curling away from the face and going in with my clip.
You're the reason that I'm leaving. Can't love you no more.
Like I mentioned earlier, I usually like to go in and pluck again if need be. So after I finish curling, I'm going through and I'm going to see where else I need to pluck. Not too much, not drastic. I'm kind of doing the same thing. The hair is dry right now. So I'm just looking through and seeing where I can debulk or whatever word you want to use, and then I just go in with the razor. When I do the razor, I go in the opposite direction. As you can see, I didn't start from the beginning. I started from the other side, and I kind of decrease the amount of hair that way, so it just helps me have like the longest piece that will go towards the actual hair, and then the shorter piece will be towards the front, if you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm going in the opposite direction. This is just what works for me. I kind of do it based off of like how much hair is there and how much I'm trying to cut off. So I will sometimes go in and trim even more, but this is just what works for me. And I'm just doing like a little bit of maintenance, going through and seeing like how much more I need to pluck. And then the holy grail, the mini flat iron. I always take the mini flat iron and I curl the baby hairs. Makes things easier when you are trying to swoop them, because you'll be able to swoop them even without product. So I love that. Once I swoop without product, I take my Holy Grail Locket hairspray and I use that because it allows you to really swoop, and it does not like have a really sticky feel or anything like that. So I wouldn't use this as a glue. I just use it as the actual hairspray, and it works wonders when it comes to laying your baby hairs. If you want that like fluffy or semi-fluffy look, it gives you that. So I use that. And then I hold it in place, and once you hold it in place, you'll be able to have that there. So it's kind of what the baby hairs are looking like. And then I'm going to spray the actual hair, spray the curls with the same hairspray. Then you have to use it, you don't have to, but I love to use this Nairobi setting mousse, and I'm just kind of applying that on the brush, kind of like toothpaste, and going back in. Because I use the hairspray and because I use the curling iron, everything is kind of flowing already. So just going in for just a little bit of more maintenance. And then I go in with some wax paper, wax strips, and I hold that on there for a few minutes, probably like 10 minutes or so. So after I take that off, you have the finished product. Took out the clips, and then now I'm kind of combing through the curls. I'm gonna brush the curls, and I always use a denim brush when it comes to things like this, or a wide tooth comb, because I am keeping their hair wavy. So this is pretty much, you know, the final look, the final burgundy look. I will probably do like a hair dyeing video, but this is pretty much what this looks like. And like I mentioned, this is just me, like kind of how I do. I don't necessarily do everything the same every single time. I have multiple methods that I use, but this is just the method that I use today. And this is pretty much one of the methods that works for me when it comes to styling and customizing a unit. And this is the finished product. This is what I would call light baby hairs left side part. Nothing too drastic. And thank you for watching.